Hello.
Hello.
So, welcome to another Miracle Monday where my mom and I come together to just have real conversations. And so, we have these conversations all the time and sometimes even before we hop on here. But we thought it's fun to share these conversations with all of you in the hopes that it can inspire in some way. So, here we go. So, um, after many options of what we could chat about today,
Mhm.
we decided to land on, um, and it's funny because that means we've got a lot of different things going on and a lot of possibilities of what we could talk about today, which is, the fun part of being human. But what we decided to talk about today is uh, this desire that we tend to have beyond you and I, this desire that many of us, and I'm curious whether you have it. But anyways, the desire to have people like us. Like I'll speak, so this comes from a personal experience, although I could give you a million of them over my lifetime. But a personal experience where somebody um like wrote in an email to somebody else about me saying that I'm unprofessional and obstructive in nature in my communication and just like really, really not nice things about me. And that like gets me. Um and I wish that I just was strong enough to just read that and know that it's about the person and not about me and know who like immediately. I'm
Mhm.
on the other side now. But like my immediate response was to be really like, I don't know if hurt is the right word, but like because I care so much about being a kind and loving person, because I feel like I set myself aside a lot to make sure that I'm being kind and loving, even possibly at times where I don't feel like being kind and loving. Um, all for this like wanting people to like me. Like really, if I think about it, the idea that somebody thinks that of me is really not easy for me. And obviously this episode is not about me, but I think that I'm not alone in really wanting people to be happy with me. And so, working hard at that. And then I think it becomes even harder when you're working really hard at that and then somebody thinks that you're awful. Like it's really hard for me to accept that. So do you have any wise words? Are you the same? Have you been the same before and are not now? Like, can you relate to that at all?
Yeah, I mean, I would like to think that we all want people to like us and to think we're a good person. If we are a good person, or I guess if we're striving to be a good person or we want to be a good person, um, I think it's natural, you know? I think it's easy to fall into like feeling bad if somebody doesn't approve of what you do. I don't know. I think it's a challenge. I think it's a real challenge because again, we can look at it from all different angles. So, if it was with a client, it would be, knowing that it's not about that person or about you, it's about that person. It's how they view the world. But then how we feel is how we view the world. So it's kind of like a catch 22 in there. But I think it's normal. And, I feel that, yeah, I want people to think I'm a nice person and a good person and whatever. I don't want people out there talking nasty things about me and of course I know, did you want to say something? Because I was going to say about that
Nope.
email, like
Go ahead. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
having read that email to me, it's like, oh my gosh, like it is just so inappropriate and not at all about you. I'm sorry. I know I might be biased, but no, I would say you read that to a dozen people and they're going to think, oh my God, there's absolutely no way that that is how you behave. Like, not at all. So,
Yeah, except that's her perception. So it's interesting. So it also flashes me back to Steve. And when he, like the fact that he really thought I was a horrible mom and would tell people that, like a horrible person and a horrible mom. I remember, and now I can't even like relate to it. But man, that hurt me so deeply because I cared about nothing more than being an amazing mom. And to have somebody out there in the world thinking that and telling other people that was so hard for me. So what do you do? So there's, we can look at it through the client hat, like through the coach client. We can look at it through like personal experience,
Hmm.
things, experiences that you've had before. I know that I would way rather not feel this way when those things happen. And I do move myself over to the other side,
Hmm.
which is, I guess, all we can really do is like you have that initial, like, oh, and then you do the work to come
Yeah.
out the other side and feel and recognize that. Well, I guess sometimes we could look at it and think we could have done it differently. And then maybe there's something that we need to do. And then
Hmm.
other times we look like in this email perspective, I actually went back to look at emails to really check in and see if,
Hmm.
you know, if I could have been behaved in a different way. But I think
Do you know what? Can I say something? Sorry to interrupt you, but honestly, when I think of this whole process and you sharing different things with me,
mhm.
I think so. This is just my
Is this
perspective.
is this master trainer of NLP Lynn or mummy of Melanie Lynn?
Yes, all of the above.
Yeah. Okay.
But I think that you were trying so hard to say the appropriate things, to be kind, to skirt really. She wasn't behaving in an appropriate way. If we just look at it from a business perspective, never mind the human perspective, she wasn't responding or behaving in an appropriate way. Period. End of story. But you didn't address that. You were wanting to have her feel better and to say all the right, nice things to,
Let's go for, yeah, anyways.
yes, thinking
Yeah.
that you could bring her around by being that. But again, we're all different. So that would work for you because of who you are. But, and all we can be, I guess, is who we are. But I think if we can learn to step back.
So a lesson for me for sure in life beyond
Yes.
this is that I will try and try and try and try. And maybe if I word it this way, and maybe if I word it
Yes.
that way, and maybe if I offer this, and maybe if I send so much love, and maybe if I, like
Yeah.
maybe this, maybe that. And time and time again, when I'm in a situation like that, where I'm needing to do that over and over and over again, never once ever has it worked for me. Yet I so desperately want people to see things my way, like to understand that I'm not a bad person.
But
Let's
they're not
say
going to
I am.
understand it.
I get that.
The word understand is like so misunderstood.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah,
we don't, I can only understand the world through my
yeah,
filters, through my experiences. And I know that we always take it back to like the work that we do, but the reason we do the work that we do is
yeah,
because it has a realistic place in our life
yeah.
day by day, moment by moment. It's not just stuff that you teach and then, you use it when you need to over whatever.
Yeah,
It's
it becomes who you are and the lens through which you see the world.
and you have to recognize that that's the lens you see it through, and you can't see it through the other person's lens.
Yeah,
And then, of course, they can't see it through yours.
yeah,
So the beauty and the gift is when we come upon people who we just naturally see the world the same way. And it's like,
yeah,
wow, everything flows and we feel so good about it. But it's natural
yeah,
because we aren't trying. We literally somehow our filters are linking up in how we see, or at least we think they are. And so we feel good about it.
Yeah.
And so does
Yeah.
the other person. So I think there's all of those things, like the word understand. We cannot understand how someone else views the world. We can't understand it. It's
Okay,
not
so
possible.
let me ask you this. And this is for me, but it really is because I know that people are listening and they have situations in their life where they are, they want the other person to see it their way. They want the other person to like them and think that they're good and amazing. And the other person just isn't, no matter how hard they try. So I mean, the minute we recognize that the minute it becomes obvious, go,
I'm so sorry, but there's someone knocking at my door, and I don't think Uva would hear them.
okay,
Could you
I'll
just,
just pause the recording.
thank you.
So we'll be right back with you in just one moment. Okay, we're back. Mom got delivered a Christmas present. Okay, so if I remember where we were correctly, um, what I want, oh yeah, I do know exactly where we were, I think. We'll see how it flows once the episode comes out. But okay, so you're going about your life, and all of a sudden it becomes obvious that you're not as the same as you thought, or you have a challenge or like something. Now we have communication skills. This is where I think I get like fumbled up, is that I feel like I am a fairly good communicator and have communication skills. We do happen to teach them. And I know I'm human, so I'm not going to do that perfect at every moment, but I feel like I'm a good communicator. And so then I try really hard to communicate. Um, at what at, at what point do you use your skills to try to get things on track? And at what point do you decide that it's no longer working and then it becomes accepting that this person doesn't I mean, we started the conversation about the person not liking us. But I mean, now I feel like it's kind of veered and we can bring it back, because there is a piece of communication. Like you don't get that feeling that somebody doesn't like you or learn it without something happening that shows that, whether it's an email, whether it's them saying it to your face, whether it's a change in behavior, like something happens that causes us to recognize there's a problem. Houston, we've got a problem. Um, and so, yeah, I mean, there's a point where there's a skill piece, and then there's a point where there's a letting go piece.
I think that's a skill piece as well.
Okay, so tell me more.
Well, I don't think it's easy to let go. I think, you can go in initially thinking perhaps if I, shared this or did this or said this, it
And
will.
I feel like, sorry to interrupt, but I feel like we have a responsibility to do that to a degree, because I think the other side of it is that people just like throw relationships out and don't make an effort, and just, somebody does something and that one thing people just decide it's over. And so I do think that okay, I'll say for me, I owe it to the relationships that
Mhm,
matter to me to
mhm,
make an effort to write
mhm.
it versus just throwing it away.
Right. So the question is then, how do you know
When?
when whatever you say is doing nothing? So,
Yeah.
you can say, I think again, you want to remember though to hold within you before you start that that person sees the world differently than you.
Mhm.
So you have to be able to step back, which isn't easy because it's personal,
Yeah.
but to step back and see it for what it is without judging, not judging, but just noticing. Like, what must that person be thinking, or how must, what's going on for them within themselves? Not to try and fix them, but to think about how they could respond that way. The only way they can respond that way is because that's how they think, that's how they see the world.
Mhm.
And
And we actually can't change that no matter how much we try to
no,
communicate this or that. Like
no.
in this particular situation, I even apologized for anything that I might have done because I would never want to, and I don't even think I ever did anything, but I was
Well,
trying so hard to just like
right.
get
And
it
it didn't
back.
serve you. It didn't work
Yeah,
because that person wasn't aligned with you.
yeah.
And and if you were to look back without again judging anything, long ago, months ago, you knew you weren't aligned.
Well, because I was having to work really hard to try to get on the communication piece
Exactly.
for a
So you
very
knew.
long time, but I kept, I kept at it. Let's just say.
Exactly. And
Yeah,
so again, you know me, I'm sorry, I'm going to go to a tool,
yeah,
but like that would be a time too when you know that the different perceptual positions. So there's how I see the world, there's how you see the world, and then there's this observer like a camera on the wall, totally dissociated and looking at the two of us and how we interact. So that's a time when honestly, you got to get up there to that third position,
yeah.
third perspective, to look down on the two of you and notice what's going on. And now, how would you behave if you were looking at it from there, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
How
Yeah.
would you do it differently?
Yeah.
And that's taking the emotion out of it. And people don't want to take the emotion out of it. They want to keep the emotion in it. The
Yeah.
minute you go to that position and observe yourself and the other person, then you are not in it emotionally. So you have to
Okay,
be
so
willing.
let's take this beyond my personal situation
Sure.
because um I want to make sure that the listeners can sort of scan their own life and figure out where and
Get
how this might
something.
be helpful to them,
Yes,
right?
of
Because if
course.
they don't have a situation right now that is like a somebody said something mean about them on an email,
Yeah.
like if they don't have that specific thing, I just really want to make sure that because this is like the nature of the hurt for me, which is what
Mhm.
I really want to make sure, like I would really love to support others with, is it's really hard when people don't like you or say not nice things about you when you are doing your very best to be whatever. For me, it's kind and loving. Like when you have no intention, like sometimes we know we're being cheeky, sometimes we know we're being, and we choose to do that. And maybe if we get the ramification back, we're like, well, I might deserve that, right? But there's other times, probably the majority of the time for the people who listen to this, where we really are like have great intentions. We have beautiful intentions. We want to be kind and loving people. And then somehow, whatever it might be, certain people in our lives we get this kind of response and it hurts. It's hard to accept.
Yeah.
And so what advice do you have? There's like a flock of birds so beautifully flying. What advice do you have for people? Like what can people do so they're not like me where for months and months and months they try and try and try and try this and try that and try this and try that and try this and try that. Like what's another way to do it? So you talked about third perceptual positions and third position. So can you walk our listeners through, pretend our listeners are a client and
Mhm.
pretend they have a situation in their life where somebody doesn't like them or isn't happy with them or isn't happy with their choice or whatever. What can they do? How can they navigate it more smoothly than I did?
Well, I think it depends what the context is for starters.
Hmm.
How important is that person in your life? Like,
Right.
I don't think we step back for starters to look at how important is this person. So, yes, I want to be true to me and be kind and loving. And at the same time, I can only be me. How
Yeah.
important is that person? How much energy am I going to give to this situation? Because again, there's belief systems that go along with
Yeah.
it. So,
Yeah. And so again, not to keep bringing it back, but this particular circumstance was a business relationship that I felt I had a tremendous amount of responsibility to try to retrieve the relationship because there were other people that are impacted by this, which is
mhm,
one of the reasons I kept going.
mhm. And so again, I'm not sure because I think every situation
Yeah. So
is
that's the
unique.
question they ask themselves first is like, and if it's really not that important, then
And also, if it is important? On what level is it important? Is it because you really want a relationship with that
Yeah.
person? Or is
Yeah.
it because it is business? It's
Yeah.
business and you need
And
to
you
have
need
a
to.
business working
Yeah.
relationship? That's very different than someone I really care about as a friend or as an even an acquaintance, right? That's
Yeah.
very different. So you have to first step back and kind of notice,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. That's a
Um,
really good point.
because it's very different for each one. And
Yeah.
then recognize you can only do your best the way you can respond to things, but really remembering that, if the response keeps coming back or doesn't come back, it's information, it's feedback, and it's just showing you you're not aligned with that person.
Yeah.
To expect to be aligned with that person isn't realistic.
Yeah.
They've shown us, but we don't want to see it because we want to take, that's us taking too much responsibility in a situation. You can only take responsibility for yourself, but you have to be willing also. I don't know if in this case it's right to say let the relationship go because there's a business relationship, but
That's right.
but an emotional connection. So I would say
Yeah.
the emotional connection. And
Yeah.
so in terms of did you ask me to do something with first, second, third position?
Well, what I said was, for people who are having a challenge where they're feeling like where somebody doesn't like them or somebody has an issue with them, like what would you say to them? What are some tips or tools or like how can they navigate it? Now, you just pointed out a really good point to me, which I hadn't thought in this whole situation of mine, which was at first it was a friendship and business. Then it became very clear that it was no longer a friendship because we're clearly not aligned, but there still was and is a business relationship. So I can't just like wash my hands and walk away. So then it becomes how do I navigate this based on the reality that is? Um, and I think I'm doing a good I think I'm doing a good job of that. My initial thing was that ugh, when I saw that email, but it's been a whole journey of like again trying to retrieve the friendship and then recognizing I'm not going to, and then trying to retrieve the business and then recognizing I'm not going to, and then like all the way through. So that was something. So I think for the listeners, it's really helpful to what you just said, like step back. How important is this to me? If you're fighting really hard to retrieve a relationship that doesn't even matter to you in the first place or that you don't need to, well then the action is a lot quicker to just like the work would be to be letting it go,
Yeah. And,
right?
and
Where
letting go of the emotional connection. There is a purpose in this relationship. It is to sustain this business.
yeah,
How do I do that?
that's right.
Can I say
Yeah.
one other thing that popped into my head is
Yeah,
that
please do.
in terms of communicating with the person, you wanted to communicate the way you communicate with all this kind and loving stuff, right?
Yes,
Which
and
is
we've had
beautiful.
this conversation before.
It's like what it just bypasses the person that
I
you're
know.
connecting with. So we have to be willing to communicate, and I don't mean nasty, by the way. I just mean communicate
Yeah,
the way they communicate, not in your kind, loving, beautiful way, because they can't relate to that. They're in
yeah,
their own world and
yeah,
they're angry or whatever. We
yeah.
don't know. I don't want to make judgments, but
No, but I think that like the hurt people kind of idea is what I think of. And when I think of two scenarios, which is the Steve and this particular, and I'm sure there's been tons more, but those are the two that are in my head right now. It's like because I remember you often saying to me, because I just wanted Steve to recognize that I was a good mom. And you were like, he's never going to see that, honey. Like, and I would, send emails 16 pages long just like begging him to see and you would way back then, I mean this was obviously like however many years ago, 18 years ago or something, be like he doesn't see the world through the same lens as you, he's not going to so I think it's a little bit of a pattern for me that I just really you know I want people to think good things of me, and when they don't, I really don't like it.
yeah, exactly. But you're not aligned. I think that's something for all of us. It's like when we're aligned with people, things flow. And maybe
Yeah,
there'll be a bit of a misunderstanding at some point, but we both overcome it because we both care.
Yeah.
But if we're not aligned with the person, then they're going to deal with things very differently than us. And if we try to get them to do it our way, we're going to be so frustrated. It's not going to work. It just won't work.
So then what do you do? So then what do
Well,
you do at that point? And I'm not saying for me because
yeah.
I am on the other side of this, but again, for listeners, like what do they do?
Well, I think again, it's about that process of how important is this relationship? You know, are you willing to remove the emotion from it? Now, again, if it's personal, maybe that's not very easy, but it's about seeing the person for who they are, letting them be who they are. Because in a way, okay, we're trying to change them
Yeah.
and we can't change them.
Yeah.
So, how can we be that kind and loving person, allowing them to be them and not feel we have to articulate it to them? How can we just go inside and just know that they are doing okay, let's look at the 10 principles. Everybody's doing the best they can. Can
Yeah.
we honestly believe that?
Yeah.
Or is there something that has to be resolved? And then what has to be resolved? Is it a thing that has to be resolved, or is it just this emotional thing? I think you have to look at both ways.
Yeah.
Does that answer anything? I mean, I think there's a lot of elements to this.
Yeah.
There really
Yeah. I
are.
mean, and obviously we can't go through all of the different possibilities of what, because it would be very like context specific.
Yes.
But I mean, maybe for the listeners, it's like you're not alone if you really love people to like you. And if you try really hard to get people to like you, even if they've behaved or said as though they don't. Um, and I mean, I think there's a piece of it that is like a knowing of who we are. And so I think we have to really know who we are and what our intention is deep in our heart, soul, whatever, so that we can let other people think what they think and not have us believe their truth. Like have us really, and again, I can't do anything other than say, like, for me, I know my intentions and I know how much I care and I know what I'm doing as I'm communicating, like what my intention is behind it. And I know that I am actually a really kind and loving person, and I do my best all the time, imperfectly. So then I have to
But
really
you
pull.
think, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but you think that that is enough to influence another person. And that's not enough. Who you are isn't going to influence a
Right.
person.
So what I'm saying is when somebody doesn't like me, then I need to hold on what I know as the truth about me and
Right.
be okay that they don't know that same truth.
Like, can I do, I'm not saying you don't want to change. I mean, something happens and I have to look. Is there something
Yeah,
I can do about this
that's
or
right.
is there not?
Right.
Right? We have to be willing to have it go either way.
Right. Yeah. Because we certainly don't want to just always think, and that's why I say imperfectly. It's like, I don't think that I'm an angel and I do everything perfectly all the time. I know I don't. I know I human.
I think
Remember
you're
when
an angel.
pardon?
I think you're an angel.
I have the wool pulled over your eyes. Um, it just made me think of our joking beforehand about, hi, welcome to Miracle Mondays. We're just going to tell everybody to F off, and that's all for today. Bye-bye. Anyways,
But it
um,
is a challenge. It
yeah,
really is a challenge to know when to let go
yeah,
and and to stop just being us. Like we have to be us, but who we are, we can be the observer and we're honoring the other person when we stop trying to put who we are in their face.
yeah,
If that doesn't align with them, then our job, if we want to take responsibility, it's not about being more kind and trying to
yeah,
figure it out. It's about honoring that's how they see the world. How the
yeah,
heck can I communicate in a way that's aligned with them and stop trying to influence them
yeah.
by
And
who
there's an
I am.
acceptance, like that's where I think I am. There's an acceptance of the relationship and the dynamic being what it is. So then what do we need to do in order to be able to um, do or complete business together? Like but there's no more retrieving and trying this and trying that. Like I fully accept what it is now. And I actually have no desire to have it be anything different than it is now, except we do have business responsibilities.
Right.
So with anybody, it's and with Steve, it's the same acceptance of like just
Yeah.
acceptance that he believes what he believes and I believe what I believe. And that's where I think you can let go of the emotion is once you either you let go of the emotion so you can have acceptance or you have acceptance and the emotion is gone. But regardless, I think we really have to accept situations for the reality of what they are instead of always thinking we can communicate our way out of it to change the outcome.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
I just really want to go back to that, the perceptual positions, because
Okay.
I think that helps because it's not that easy to step away from the emotion. So I think if people have a tool
Yeah.
they can apply, it makes it easier. Otherwise, we're connected emotionally.
Yeah.
So I think if we can look at it, okay, here's my perception of this experience. Then imagine floating, out into that other person's body, looking back at you. Now that's their perception of it.
Yeah.
Now imagine taking yourself up to that camera and look down and see the interaction between the two of you where you're totally emotionally
Yeah.
detached.
Yeah.
If you're willing to do it also from that perspective, it takes you kind of out of the, well, it takes you out of the emotional equation, puts
Yeah.
you in a perspective that allows you to view, to look at yourself, to look at the other person, and to be dissociated and like, okay, wow, ooh, I could do that differently. I might look from there and think, I could have done that differently. Or I might look
Yeah.
from there and think, that doesn't feel right. I think I'm going to exit from this experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I think that's really super helpful. And I think for me, the personal side of it is I don't go there soon enough. I don't go
right.
up to third soon enough. Because as soon as I go up there, I know that it's like, I mean, I'm going to use this word super lightly, but it's like almost embarrassing how hard I try to retrieve it, where you're like, it is. It's almost like embarrassing. Like if somebody could read how much I'm trying. It's like it's embarrassing. I mean, it's not
Well,
embarrassing, but it's embarrassing. So
right.
that's what I would see from up there is
Yeah.
like way long ago, I could have or maybe should have stopped trying
Yeah.
so hard.
And in a way, if you really want to think about it as a kind and loving person, that's honoring that other
A
person.
100%, which is probably where a bunch of the conflict comes from because me continuing to try created a discomfort in them.
Yeah.
Wah, wah, wah.
Anyways, I mean, I think all this is easier said than done,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I do think again, I don't like to keep going back to it, but I know I do because I don't know what I'd do without the
Yeah.
tools we have. Like it isn't just I'm going to think this, like you've got to have ways of helping yourself out of situations and
Yeah.
we need we need tools
Yeah.
because otherwise we're just going to be who we are and we can't see the world any differently. We won't be able to change. We won't be able to, do it differently.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm the a prime example of I have the tools and then I human and I use the tools, but maybe I could use them faster to make life easier on me.
Yeah. And just, and maybe start with a belief that you can't, I know that you know this, but I'm still going to say it.
Yeah.
Start with the belief that I can't change other people. Other people see the world the way they see it. How can I communicate in a way that they can get? Not my way.
Yeah.
How can I communicate with them in a way that honors them and does it their
I could
way?
have backed up this bus way long ago had I had I done it. And it's
But
funny,
that's easy to say.
we've had a lot of conversations about it. Anyways, um yeah, I don't want it to be specifically about my situation, but I know that my situation is a situation that people
Of course.
face, you
Yes.
know?
Yeah, most
So,
definitely. And I think again, we want to look at the context of those relationships.
yeah,
Where do they sit in our life? That's going to determine how far I go,
yeah,
what I do, what I say. Because again, with Steve, as just as an example, and lots of people I know would be in the same situation. Marriages break up and, people aren't very kind to each other. But there would be nothing that you could have said, absolutely nothing,
yeah,
because he wasn't capable of hearing it.
yeah.
Like he just wasn't capable. That's
Yeah.
not how he saw the world. So
And that's
he
so frustrating. Anyways, okay.
well, I don't
Well,
know. I hope we've been helpful in some way for people.
I think so. I mean, I think that, I know that this isn't your intention, but one of my intentions always is to let people know that they're not alone, to like to I hate the idea that somebody is going to like watch me on social media and think that I use the tools this fast and I never have any issues and I never have any challenges. I just sail through life. Like that isn't real. So I feel like even just that. And I do think you gave some really concrete things to think about, the relationship, the importance of it, and first, second, and third position to take the emotion out so that you can look at it and decide and to communicate with the person the way they need it, not the way you need it. Um,
I think
so
that's really big.
yeah, because even though I don't know that that's directly connected with people not liking you, I think it's super helpful from the perspective of challenging dynamics in relationships and how to overcome them. So
And everybody isn't going to like every one of us.
I
I'm sorry,
know,
but that's
I
the way she
know.
goes. I know.
It sucks though. Okay, we've been longer than we normally are.
Okay.
I love you.
Okay. I
This
love you
has been
too.
a really great conversation. Thank you for the therapy session. Um, and and I do know that everybody is not going to like me and everybody is not going to like you. You have your own examples of that in your life. And it is something that's really sucky, but it's, I guess, part of humaning.
Okay, I have to say one more little thing. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Just one more little thing. But I think again, if we're true to ourselves and don't try to,
Yeah,
whatever, if we're just true to ourselves, then the energy we put out is going to bring back the people that are aligned with us. And then life does get way easier.
yeah.
Like it really, really does.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
And of all of the people that I have in my world and all of the relationships in business, like partnerships and partners and lenders and people and friends and family and everything, I have like beautiful relationships. So I
exactly.
have like one challenge right now out of a gazillion relationships. So
Yeah,
I am very, very blessed, like in attracting amazing, beautiful, wonderful people.
exactly.
Um, and sometimes you find a misalignment somewhere along the way.
Yeah. And at first you thought it was an alignment or you
Yep.
wouldn't have done it. But,
That's right. And
you
it
just
was an
need
alignment until it wasn't. You know what
exactly.
I mean? Like,
Yeah. And then you let it go and
yeah,
just do what you need to do.
yeah. Okay.
See ya.
I love you.
Okay, I love you too.
Okay. See you next Monday.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.